Okay, this is for day 6, which is August 9th, right? 2024?
Yep.
August 9th. Our verse for day 6 was Psalm 42:8. Yet the Lord will command his loving kindness in the daytime, and in the night his song shall be with me, and my prayer unto the God of my life. We were certainly praying in the nighttime.
Certainly.
It's been a long day. We are, well, tell them where we're at or what we're doing.
We're on Lac LaCroix.
Speak up, too, because you're kind of far away.
We're on Lac LaCroix.
Lac LaCroix, yeah.
Yep, we're under a tarp having lunch. It's a beautiful day.
Mm-hmm.
All of our laundry is dry for the first time.
Yeah.
The sun's actually out.
And the campsite's finally nice.
And the campsite is decent. Like, day 6 was a full day of travel that did not end up where it was planning. Ended up quite a bit further than we had planned because all of the remote campsites that we had eyed on the map, they were just, it was like as if people haven't been there in years. Some of them, the toilets were completely fresh, like there was nothing in them.
Right.
Like,
which would be great.
Yeah, which would be great, but the campsites were overgrown and really, really rough.
Well, and most of them had massive trees down in them.
Yeah.
Which was really interesting. And like fresh breaks on a few of them.
Yeah, like a big storm had just gone through.
Yeah.
And big trees, like,
big.
I don't know, 18 inches across big.
Yep. Yeah. Just nowhere good to even put one tent.
Mm-hmm. And when we set up, we don't like it to look like destruction. And some of them, the trees that had fallen were right in your view.
Yeah.
Like you would feel that destruction if you were sitting there relaxing.
Right across the kitchen area.
Mm-hmm. But we started out on
Eugene.
Eugene. Yeah, I don't know where Kelsey came from.
It's on the map.
Is it?
Kelsey.
Oh, okay, good. I don't feel so bad.
But it's later on.
Okay.
By Fish Steak Narrows.
And we started off in Eugene. We probably talked about our campsite on Eugene. That's where we had the rice.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did we talk? We must have talked about that day. We came in wet on Eugene a little bit.
Yeah.
Trying to dry off in the colder wind.
Yeah.
And then had a good campsite. And just set up the one tent though.
Yeah.
I remember talking about it.
Yeah, we talked about that.
So then, Gideon, what were the lakes then? We went Eugene to Gun or Eugene to...
Yeah, it was Eugene.
We went north out of Eugene.
To Gun. And then, which was a 93 rod. And then we went from Gun to Lac LaCroix.
Oh, is that it? So we had 2 main portages?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Gun was stunning.
Beautiful.
Absolutely stunning.
Very pretty.
Like right when we got there, and we had to kind of go around to a second part of the lake. And when we came around the corner, the rock faces and the trees and everything, everybody just kind of went quiet, and we all just started paddling slower.
Yep.
Because it was so beautiful.
The rocks were huge, and then we saw an eagle nest on one of the rocks.
Yes, Mom was spotting the nest.
Yeah.
You spotted 2, didn't you?
Yeah, it was crazy.
You spotted 2?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It reminded me of
Well, thanks.
what is that? Rescuers Down Under.
Oh,
Yeah.
That reminded us of that too.
With Savannah.
Yeah.
You reminded me of that.
Yeah.
Oh, Joanne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Joanna. Yeah.
And then, so we had fun paddling around there, and then but it started to rain while
Yep.
we were on that lake.
Started. I
Still
thought it was
beautiful,
already.
but yeah.
Or maybe already raining a bit.
And didn't we leave in the rain?
I don't know.
went to the
The leave from there was amazing too. It was like back in this little waterway with these trees falling down, and you like paddled under the trees.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Under
was
the deadfall
beautiful.
trees.
And the tree was like white because it's been there for a while.
Yep. Well, out of Eugene, we almost didn't find the portage at first.
Oh yeah, because I read the map wrong.
Yeah. And nope, those were moose trails.
Whoopsies.
Do not take them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oops.
Good thing we didn't.
Yeah,
where
so we went to the right thinking it was it.
Yeah.
And we could find like trails, but could tell canoes had been there, but
Correct.
there was no definite trail. And the portages out here, even remote ones, there's a definite trail.
But they haven't been super simple to find usually.
And that one was a maybe, but then you and Gideon paddled further down,
Yeah.
and then we're like,
It's
oh
like,
yeah, this
no.
is it.
Yeah. Here's the actual
Mhm.
one. And they were definite portages. Like they, especially the one into LaCroix, was like, don't step off the path.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They had tons of holes.
I told the kids, if you go look at the creek, which was another really pretty creek,
Oh,
watch where you
beautiful.
step, because it's like the creek ran under the root systems of the trees or
Yeah,
something.
so there were all
Yeah.
these holes, and they were deep.
They were really deep.
They were very deep.
Yeah.
Looked like almost a cave.
But, yeah, and the one out of Eugene, it had all those huge trees that had been down and thankfully cut, but then other spots you had to like
Climb over them.
climb over
Me
things.
and Nathan
Yeah.
had to walk on marsh.
We did have to walk on marsh.
It was creepy.
You
Yeah.
walked on marsh?
And the marsh is always creepy. We're super careful with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, through that one portage.
Yeah.
Or
Not
we
even a
didn't know there'd
portage.
be a portage at the north end of. I'm behind the conversation
Eugene.
here.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't a portage.
It wasn't a portage.
I'm
It was
eating
just like
almonds.
I mean peaches.
it was a paddleable.
Yeah.
Right. With
Inlet
all of us
thing.
Too
in
many
the water,
rocks.
it would have been
Yeah.
too
And-
deep.
We
Wouldn't
could
have
float our
worked.
boats, not our people.
Yeah.
So we had to wade through the marsh.
Which Dad makes you take what with you for that?
Paddles,
Why?
so we can stick them in.
Yeah, so we can bear our step.
Yeah.
Or have
and
something to have in case we fall in.
if you fell in, you're supposed to turn it sideways, right? So you
So you don't go through.
don't go through.
I did not know that.
Oh,
What are
he
we
showed you that a
supposed to
few
I
times.
probably should have
Wait, what?
known that.
Well, your paddle, you have it because if you fall through the marsh, you stick it sideways so you have something to grab.
Oh, so
So
it's like across your hole?
Yeah,
Oh.
that's what I think. I don't know. I've never heard what you do, but I just think of it like ice. If you go through, you don't want to
Yeah.
get stuck under there.
The main thing that you do is not go through the
But
marsh.
usually when we're on it, it's not. It shouldn't be that deep.
Yeah,
No.
it shouldn't be.
And the
Shouldn't
only
be.
time we've had you guys get out onto it at all was just at the edge for when we can't get through.
Yeah, if you get too close to the edge, it gets like.
And the water
Dangerous.
under it probably isn't moving. Like ice. Like ice,
Right.
the water under it is still flowing.
Yeah.
True.
Well, I'm gonna keep eating these almonds if you guys don't take them.
Yeah.
I don't
Hand them
want
back
any.
over.
So
Yeah.
it was
so that
actually a
been okay.
decent first part of travel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. Then we got to LaCroix, and it was
Really windy.
Oh,
Jeff met me
man.
on the portage trail and said, "Oh man, it's windy."
Oh yeah, because on the trail we stopped and picked raspberries.
Oh,
We
yeah.
did. The girls and I did.
Lots and lots of raspberries.
They were so good.
But LaCroix looked pretty windy, but it looked okay.
Yeah.
It was like
Yep.
we knew what islands we would like hop to. And we thought, okay, this will be all right.
Yeah, and that's all we've heard about Lac LaCroix is if it's windy, stay away. Or be careful. Be careful.
So we went out, and it was okay. And we started looking for campsites out near Canada, saw Canada, saw.
Yeah, well, we
Beautiful.
ended up punching out at north of Gun Lake
Yep.
rather than over at Tukukumich or whatever.
Right.
So we were further west than we thought we would be.
Right.
But actually worked pretty good because there was a series of islands that we could stay on the leeward side.
But the more we were out there, the windier it got,
Oh, but
and the more the campsites started to become nose.
yeah, but even before the campsites though, it was probably some of the most beautiful paddling we've had yet.
Yes.
Most
it was
beautiful.
The amount of
gorgeous.
islands and rock,
Yeah.
rock formations,
So
Yeah.
beautiful.
stunning
Yeah.
out there.
Made you excited to stay on it if you could find somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We saw, what do we see, you guys?
Yeah.
Well, we saw
Canada.
a bunch of baby ducks.
Yeah.
We did. We saw a bunch of baby
Like
ducks.
a bunch, like 10 or more,
We
all in a group.
Mm-hmm.
we also saw a bald eagle,
Yes.
Mhm.
which was flying over Canada's side. Like,
What's
the
he
point
doing
of
over
this?
there?
Yeah.
What is he
Huh?
doing?
Yeah, he was kind of going back and forth over the border.
Yeah.
Because, we could see Canada for a lot of the time
Mm-hmm.
through the islands. Some of the islands were Canadian, some of them were American.
Right.
All look the same.
We saw maple trees.
Yes, maple trees started
Like red
showing up, like
maple
red
trees.
red
We did,
maples.
yeah.
That's right. They did.
We saw seagulls.
We did
Lots
see
of
seagulls.
seagulls.
Saw an eagle that was like brown, so it was either a golden eagle or a juvenile bald
Ooh, I
eagle.
didn't think of a golden eagle. Maybe that's true.
Yeah, I don't know.
That was some
That's a
type
good
of
point,
eagle.
Miriam.
Our eagle had like the perfect perch. It was like this dead tree on this little island outcropping with one limb. And it was like it was made for him.
Yeah, the lake was beautiful, but after we saw that golden eagle was when we decided we had to get back across in order to try other campsites, right?
Yeah, well, we had come to campsites that we had wanted because we could just see Canada. Like there would be some nice views of Canada from them, but all of them were just what we had described earlier. And so then what was that, 27 island, 24 island, 27. Then it was probably a mile to paddle around it to the other's leeward side. We thought surely one of the other two may have to do for the night.
Right.
Both of those were a no-go. By that time the winds had calmed a little bit. That the next day's travels were actually what we started to consider, and that was to make the run across the wide open portion of Lac LaCroix from the islands we were at to where we're at now, which is the kind of the north end of, I call it the Narrows. I don't even know what it's called, but things start to narrow up between Coleman Island and the mainland.
Yeah.
And so knowing that wind is really dangerous on the big lakes, we set out kind of island hopping, thinking we'll start out careful. If it seems comfortable, we'll start to go more direct. And we did start going more direct, which, I don't know, maybe that was a mistake.
I don't know.
But
the winds picked up.
Yeah, the winds picked up. The waters got really big.
Mm-hmm.
Got a little sketchy.
Just a little.
Everybody was a little concerned.
Yeah.
Swells were pretty large.
They could go over your canoe.
What?
They could go over your canoe in no time.
Yeah. They were they get worse as the story goes on because, unfortunately. But by the end, those swells, they were probably 2 to 3 feet, up and down. Because when Ada was paddling, she said she put her paddle in and she wouldn't hit the water because she was so high above it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we were at one of the little islands.
Well, we made it across
the big expanse and behind a little island for cover.
Yeah. And then knew we had to hop to the next one. And it was like, we can get through there. We just came through what felt like insanity. So we can go from this one to the other because it's no more open, wide expanse of waterways. And we had calmed down some. So we took off for the next little island and got behind it. And all of us were just like, no, we can't. What do we do? We can't keep going. Like, these are huge. And they're pulling and pushing. And like out in the middle of the lake, at one point, like when I started to freak out, Gideon was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm not doing anything of this. This is purely
all
like
the movement of the boat.
like, like the waves were coming in at a V and they weren't going one direction, and keeping your boat in any way, shape, or form on a direction was like exhausting.
And yeah, some of it's just your perception. Like when I would look back to make sure you guys were tracking with us and because you weren't too far away, you were probably
Right.
25 yards away.
Yeah, that was one of
Every
your
time I looked back,
stipulations.
you were always on course. So, but it never
Never
felt like it because the waters were moving
moving
in two directions at once.
Yeah, really
Yeah.
felt to and fro.
Well, with the
being tossed
islands, the
about.
winds would come in off of the big lake, and break around all the islands. I don't know. It's like the winds would change directions.
They would.
They're not always going just straight out of one direction. Like, depending on the land, they move. It feels like they change direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we were stuck behind this little island that had nothing but spiders getting ate of.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Too many, right?
Yes.
It's rainy. It's been rainy all day. Well, about most of the day. We're wet to the bone.
And cold.
Yep. Well, yeah. Did you say we're kind of racing the clock? Like the day was getting later and
Right, I
later.
did
By
say
the
that.
time we had crossed and made it to the island and were in cover, it was like 7:30.
Yep.
And 8:30 is sunset.
So we were praying about what to do. We ate some food in the boats tied together, just sitting there in a little
Well, and the nearest
pocket.
campsite is about 1.5 miles off.
Yeah, and you're thinking, looking out at it, those swells are pretty big. How do we get through them?
Yeah, and
we
they're
had to get
crashing
around
on
a
the
corner.
shore that we're going to be running along.
Yeah, they were crashing, like spraying up, and you're like, oh gosh,
Mhm.
oh my gosh. And so we were praying for it to calm. We were gonna wait, and we waited a while.
We waited
pretty
almost
cold.
an hour.
Yeah. And it seemed like it might be getting different, but you couldn't really tell. Once again, it seemed like, oh, hey, maybe it's getting calmer. And then you got out of the boat to go check that tiny island to see if there was somewhere we could just put the tent because it's getting late.
Mm-hmm.
And like emergency camp. And nowhere. And when you came back, Jeff, you got hit with some like weird, super cold feelings.
Mm-hmm.
I was shivering really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, you.
Even though when I was sitting down in the boat, I felt fine.
Right.
But when I stood up and got into the
Wind.
breeze or something, I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
You were.
It was bad. And realizing, I mean, we're all like very, very wet. And you said at that point, you were just like, we have to go and we have to go right now. So we did.
Mm-hmm.
And holy cow.
It was a rough
I
ride.
don't know how to describe it. Like, we're so grateful we got through there. When the wind hit that channel that we had to go through, right, Gideon? Like, those currents were something else in there.
Yep.
They were. What did you said you looked at one point at the waves. What did you think?
Oh, yeah. I was just like, oh my gosh.
I
This is
made
ridiculous.
I made a huge mistake of looking to the left. But since I'm sitting in the middle, I'm not paddling. So I just look around, and when I look, I was like, oopsies, I shouldn't have
Yeah,
looked that way.
you said there's probably fingerprints in the thwart from
Yeah.
you holding on to it.
I was holding on to it so tight.
Or the yoke.
Yeah, the yoke. I was like death hold on it. I was like, whoa!
It was fun to some extent because we were able to surf some of the waves
Yeah.
and let them
Yeah.
take us.
We were
through.
cruising for a while.
We were going so fast.
Yeah.
Oh, yep. Yeah, I just thought, just gonna paddle my heart out.
I could not like turn when the boat starts to get broadside to the waves, it just keeps pushing it harder and harder
Right.
sideways.
Yeah.
And I could not get it. I could not get turned, so we would be either quartering the waves or going with them.
Right.
And so I flipped sides with my paddle and I whacked Abigail going across because I didn't get it up high enough to go over.
I'm so sorry.
You're like, sorry, I'm not like, it's fine, just keep paddling.
Don't stop.
I think I apologized for splashing Gideon a few times in there, and he was like, quit apologizing, just paddle!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
We gotta go.
The water was warm.
like the water's
though.
warm. We're splashing
Yeah,
all you
when your
want.
hands would go in the water paddling, it was warmer in the water than out of the water.
Yes. Which was,
Yeah.
Definitely.
It was by far the most perilous day of our journey.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
I
my
hope that it
goodness.
is the most perilous
Yes,
day and that from here on out,
Please.
we have much more cover now. That was the most sketchy. We knew that crossing, well,
Could be
it wasn't
bad.
really a crossing, but that long stretch of open water was probably the trickiest if we didn't have good weather.
And it turns
Like
out
this morning, it
we
might have
didn't.
been just fine to paddle it. But
We got here at like
10
10:30.
o'clock. 10:30.
at night,
Yeah,
To
at this campsite.
we didn't get here till 10:30.
Not
No,
10:30. It was like 10.
because we were drinking.
Yeah. So then we're coming in on the waves, and there's a campsite dead ahead. And it's like, you'd think it's best to, let's just stop at the first one.
Yeah.
But then me and Ada, who are out in front, the waves are like crashing where you're going to land your canoe.
Yeah, like crashing.
And so there was much calmer water off to our left, which was basically an eddy behind a neighboring island, which also had a campsite. And it was only
it was close.
At
At
eighth
that
of a
point,
mile more.
Yeah, at that
Yeah,
point,
and we've
everything
already-
seems close.
Yeah, everything seemed close. So we veered off, and Leanne and Gideon were like, what? There's the campsite right
yeah,
there.
I was like dead set for it.
Like, maybe we just stay there. But we came to this one, did a little bushwhacking, thinking,
Where is it?
yeah, where is it? And then found it. And it's obvious. It's on this huge rock point. And that's where we are today.
This was the third one because the second one was like all covered over in bush. Remember, it was way too overgrown.
Well, this is
Maybe.
like
I don't
technically
remember.
like number 6. that we
Oh,
tried to
is
get
this?
to.
This is the third one. You're
Yeah.
right. We did one, then we checked the second one, then we went to the third one.
Yeah.
You're right. Oh man.
all in massive swells,
Yeah, and all getting darker and darker, and darker.
and darker, which just it's not easy to set up camp. You can set up camp in the dark. It's a matter of the bugs coming out and all the stuff you have to do, and it's still raining.
Yeah.
So it was still raining, and then
There was no sun either.
you get up here, and it was like, this will be the spot the tent goes. So we're frantically getting it up, trying not to get it all wet, getting the girls in, saying, get changed. And we got all the beds, and then Jeff, you made us all a hot drink in the vestibule just to try to warm our bodies.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
it was
boiled some
so
water
good.
and made some hot
Yeah.
sugar drinks.
It
Yeah.
was so good.
And then we crashed.
Yeah.
You crashed again.
Yeah.
Our GPS worked the whole time, thankfully.
Mhm.
Yep.
I was worried about getting onto Lac LaCroix. I've been trying to not use the GPS and just leave it powered down the whole time because lake to lake is actually really easy.
Yep.
Fairly easy to do.
Especially if you have your map.
The hardest thing is like really pinpointing like, oh, a campsite. But we can usually find them now. But when we got to Lac LaCroix, I was worried about finding our way, but we were able to track islands and stay and know exactly where we were at without the GPS. But then towards the end of the night, and also when we were hunting for campsites, it was nice to have it and it was operating fine to know exactly if we were on course or if we knew right where they were at.
Right. That's why you knew this campsite was right here. Even though
Yeah.
you bushwhacked from one side up, and then we went around to the other and got in.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we went to bed all feeling extremely grateful
Yeah.
to not have capsized, to be alive, to be dry.
Yeah, everybody had generally dry clothes.
We had dry pajamas. That's all we owned
Dry
at that point.
pajamas. Yeah.
So everything wet was just in the vestibule. It was like, we'll deal with it in the morning.
Yeah.
Getting up, it was like, what are we going to put on?
I know.
We
Yeah.
have no clothes.
I pulled out my shorts that I haven't touched the whole trip,
Yeah.
and I have an old shirt on that happens to still be dry. Actually, I wore this yesterday during our journey.
Mm-hmm.
It smells really nice.
I don't know, but those shirts, I feel like they collect scent.
I know,
like
they
mine
do.
stinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gideon, you got a new hat for this trip. How was that yesterday?
Oh, it held up. It gets heavier and heavier the more it gets wet. But other than that, it
Yeah?
stays warm.
Because what is it? What? Yeah, tell us about it. Like, what is the hat? Or it's just a black. It's a
just
black
a
wool hat, right?
Yeah, black wool hat.
Yeah, but wool, right?
Yeah, or yeah, I think it's wool.
Or
Yeah.
felt, or yeah. I
Yeah,
don't know what
he
it's
looks
made
Australian when he wears it.
of.
Because he has feathers in it.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
It's a new
I like
view from the back of the canoe.
Our toilet this time, it's special. It has somebody installed a fake flush valve, a flush handle on it. Is that what it is? Like just a
Yes,
fake
It is.
It is.
flush
It's
handle,
funny.
even though
I
it's a
think
pit
that's
toilet.
funny. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was, I mean, it was a big day. We probably missed a lot of stuff that we. Oh, yeah. Did you talk about we had lunch or where we ate our lunch?
Yeah.
Did we?
Oh.
Oh, when we stalled out and I hunted that island for a camp,
Yes.
place to set our tent.
But when we ate lunch, we realized that the bag was missing the almonds and the mangoes.
I know.
Which
We
we
don't know
always
what
have.
happened.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Almonds are a must. Mangoes are a must.
we,
And both were missing.
we were coming here. I think it was this campsite. But there was a beaver in the water.
Oh yeah, that was the last thing we saw, wasn't it?
There was a beaver, and it was just swimming along, and then it went.
Nice.
That's so cool.
All right. Well, do you guys want to go swimming?
Yeah.
We'll go
Probably.
swimming and then we'll go fishing.
Okay. Get some walleye.
All right. We'll talk about today later.
Tonight.
All right, tonight.
Today.